Alright, we are gonna start with introductions, so Matt, if you wanna kick us off with your introduction?
Hold on. Can you just get introduced?
Yeah, tell people about what the fucking book is that we're talking about here.
Yeah, and who you are.
You're the MC.
Okay. That's what you want to do about?
Yeah, let's do that.
Alright, well, I'm Matt Wilson, I'm the author of the Horrors Untold series, The Backrooms and Gore.
I'm Robert Royal-Koff. I'm the author of Sleeping Among Wolves, and I'm the curator, and I designed this project.
I'm Nathan Ludwig, I'm the author of, let's see what did I write? Comfy Cozy Nihilist and Love Potion 666.
I'm Jessica Epley. I'm the author of the Exotic Bird series and the Saigon series, multi-genre author, and this project as well.
Hey, Roland Bursey Jr., author of Unfortunate, Maybe I Guess a Witch, and a few other stories.
I'm Dorian Jason, and I'm the author of It Came Upon Midnight Clear and Alone at Midnight.
I'm Caleb Jones. I write under CII Jones usually, and I guess my most popular book would be A Boy and His Dog.
D.A. Latham. I am the writer of Compulsions, a collection of dark erotic poetry, as well as one half of Resin Girl Press.
That happens to have a book being released right now that the release party may be going on this evening.
Yeah.
Also, Donna's fucking amazing.
I'm Megan Stockton, and I am the author of Lovely, Dark, and Deep and Blue Jay.
I'm Steve Clark, the author of Down Home and the Doors of Chamberlain.
I'm Anton Kanker. I've written things. I don't remember the fucking names of them. I'm a goddamn idiot here. But I was in on this shit, and that weird fucker asked me to be a part of it. So I'm just happy to be here.
I'm Kat Valor. I'm sure you know me from Puppet Sharks, but I'm the author of Revenge Arc and the Desert Island game.
And I'm Dave Sims. My biggest book was Fear the Reaper. It was about Virginia, but I also have a cool thriller coming out in July called Pierce the Veil, and part of the American Scare series written by the amazing Elizabeth Massey. That's now, we just found out it was re-optioned by Warner Brothers, so I will not see a penny of that, but it looks sounds really cool. So yeah, so yay property.
Alright, we're gonna be opening up with a brief reading by Caleb C.I. Jones.
Alright, we'll get to it. Whew. I'm just a little nervous, guys, so bear with me. Alright. Chapter 7. A Piggy Interlude. I try howling at the moon. The piggy pilot screeches a response inside my head. Pigs don't howl, you pig fuck, so I squeal at the moon. I tear off into the night, my heaving breaths are a hybrid. Sometimes it sounds like it always used to, the labored breathing of an out-of-shape man who did far too little jogging in my day-to-day life. Sometimes it's the starved, husky breaths of an animal erupting out of me. I have no idea where I'm running to. Food, more than likely. I could have my pick of the strewn corpses that litter my suburban street. Flashes of memory come back, hot dogs on the grill, ketchup dripping from a pork-filled bun, then my snout burrowing into the split-open side of my coworker's wife. Tearing her open as easily as one of those split-open hot dogs. The comparison of her long intestines to sausage links sends a dribble of bloody saliva down my chin, then blackness. I don't stop for the easy meal of my dead neighbors. The piggy pilot and the fire in my head tell me to find something running, something living. And now, those are the only voices I listen to, squealing and running, mad with fever and hunger. I don't know if it's been hours or days that I've run. I do know it feels like it's been a lifetime since my last meal. There are others like me, but we are no pack. We are a new evolution, and we all want to survive. In my frantic journey for a feast, I've seen more than a few of these pigs gutting each other for one last morsel of meat. We are a brutal bunch with no commitment to our own, and I have been bested again and again. I feel like another pig has come to live deep in my guts, and he is trying to eat his way right through my innards, destroying me from within. That's hunger. Hunger like I've never felt in my life, and between that and the fever, this new reality is all I've ever needed to be convinced that hell is indeed very real. I'm living in it. But my God, I see them. Most of the humans have managed to barricade themselves away. Us pig fucks have to figure out how to get to them. A tall order given our new unwieldy and cursed corporeal forms. But to see a whole group of healthy humans right out here in the open, well, it's like the hand of God has split through the stormy ceiling of hell to reach out to me. Then that same God points the way like the host at a golden corral, showing the way to the choicest meats. Go, fucking go! Piggy Pilot screams from the fiery void where my brain used to be. They're a long way away, though, several hundred feet, and I'm evolving every moment. I've been hungry long enough to know that it's not always wise to listen to that starving voice inside my head, the one that always screams, "Feed, pig fuck, feed!" So I slowly trot to the shadows off to the side of the building. A full frontal assault is yet to net me a meal. It has gotten me battered by would-be victims, where the commotion of the hunt has attracted others just as starving piggies that overpower me and take the meal right out of my mouth. An attack from the shadows will serve me better. From the darkness I can hear them. They speak among themselves. Words I can barely comprehend any longer. A language that I once spoke. Now all I know are the squeals banging around in my head. "Careful with that, Jimmy!" one of them screams. It's an old woman, fat. Never ate ass in my old human life, but here's a full meal of it in the form of this old bitch. She's tugging some sort of bag out of the young man's hand. My Harold would just be devastated if he knew I had let his remains be handled so roughly by some. Hey, what the fuck? A girl calls out from the back of the van. She's young and her face is flushed. It's okay, the kid says. I know Bertha doesn't mean it. I was just gonna say kid, Bertha mutters as she tucks the bag a little closer to her ample bosom. Her look says that she didn't mean just kid at all. Honest, I hadn't even thought once about him being black. Jimmy's eyes go wide, but he waves a calming hand to the red-faced girl. Inside, Piggy Pilot screams, "Eat Bertha's butt. Eat it now. Slurp her innards straight through her asshole. Eat Bertha's butt." I let out a faint squeal to try to temper the roiling in my belly and head. It's too loud. Another woman, this one long and slender, barely dressed, pokes her head from the sliding door of the van. "What the hell was that?" "Was what?" another guy says as he slips from the driver's seat. He walks toward the loading dock. The van is parked near him and picks up a box. He huffs under its weight as he lugs it back to the van. "I didn't hear anything, but I'm spooked. Let's get the fuck out of here. Any more supplies we need to load?" "Does Home Depot carry any proper clothing?" Bertha crows. "Miss Genevieve seems to be in need." The good-looking lady, Genevieve, I gather, looks off into the shadows where I'm hiding, and it takes everything in me not to run straight at her and rip one of those long, sexy legs right off the stem, like a flower petal. I wait, though, the hardest thing in the world to do, but I have to wait, or I won't eat. And if I don't eat, the fire in my head and the hunger in my belly are going to meet in the middle at my heart, and they will demolish the poor, decrepit organ. They work on for a few minutes longer, pulling various objects off the loading dock and throwing them into the van. There are 6 of them. I don't get all of the names, just Jimmy, Bertha, the fat piece of roast, and Genevieve. I've snuck closer and closer, a specialty that is not the pig's usual skill set, so it is slow going. After 10 minutes, I've moved a long way, within 20 feet of my next meal. Bertha hasn't contributed much to the loading of the van, just barked orders, most of which are ignored. "I think that's it," the other boy says. "Everything a person needs to survive the end of the world." "All that and the love of our Savior," Bertha says. She pats her bag. "Let's load up," Jimmy says. Genevieve continues looking off into the dark. We are practically locking eyes. I can smell her cheap perfume from where I stand that mingles well with her sweat. The girl that got all red-faced over Bertha's veiled racism comes up, pats her on the back, and whispers, "Let's go." Genevieve nods and is ushered back to the van and jumps inside. Bertha waves everyone to their seats. Then she bends down, clasps one in, ready to go, but she's trying to brace herself to lift into the van. Her beautiful fat ass is poking up, and the screeches of the Piggy Pilot are unignorable. "Feed, you dumb pig fuck! Feed right now!" I squeal loud and hard as I rip out from between the shrubs I've been hiding behind. I can feel the blood and meat from my last long-forgotten meal gurgling out of my throat, regurgitated in the excitement of this next hunt, this next kill. There is a collective scream from the van as the group realizes an attack is imminent, but it's too late. Blood is about to be spilled. There's nothing to do about it now.
Robert, we had another contributor just walk into the room. I think we wanna recognize that person.
So the editor
Yeah.
of Zombacon,
Yeah.
Kenneth Nolan.
So. Get your ass up here. There's sitting back there. Come on, man. You are, no, it is, you are a big part of this. Get the fuck up.
So she took all this bullshit and organized it into something incoherent.
Otherwise, I'm gonna have everybody start chanting "Eat Candace's ass." Also, by the way, would you like some irradiated fluid to turn into a mutated pig?
It is, just wrong.
It's, you know.
So Zombacon was a project that was conceptualized by me as a vehicle for 13 different authors to write one interconnected story. It was basically an anthology written in an exquisite Cook style, which I got the idea from a song, a Watsky song, where he combined different artists to make one story, The Apocalypse. The actual story of Zombacon was conceptualized by Jess, who came up with the title and the concept of zombie pig monsters. And we're gonna open up the floor to any questions if anybody has any.
Can I ask one really quickly?
Sure.
Are we allowed to drink our fucking liquor yet?
I've
I
already
think
drank
everybody's
mine.
already
Yeah.
Oh, well, fine. Okay. Well, we were supposed to be good. So, before we do that, does anybody in the audience want to also turn into a mutated pig because I have an extra syringe? No? Fine. Then,
We've all
Okay.
had them so far, none of us have tested.
then, those of you who haven't yet, on the count of 3, I asked, but then she said it looked like an enema. It's going in your mouth. So on the count of 3, and then after you drink it, your best pig squeal.
Goes down
I breathed it.
Yeah.
Look, don't you tell me what I can do with my Friday nights.
You gotta relax and drink. Relax.
That is true.
I don't have a question, but I have something I'd like to say. Since you guys all work here. I just came in to say hi. For you guys listening, what Robert came up with is a very complicated idea. It's not easy to pull off. And as an editor, I've seen a lot of things the last 3 years now. A lot of anthologies, I do them myself. I've done quite a few. Doing something like this is very complicated and it's very complex. And for this group of authors to come together as one and come up with the story they did and make every chapter just cohesive and make it make sense, and for them to pull it all the way through to the end, the way they did, and for it to be wildly entertaining and horrific.
And I just want to make a mention, the amount of crap Robert had to go through, hurting all of us like attention deficit asshole cats.
Anybody that tries to do a project like this, I will say authors are notoriously hard to get in groups, and even harder to maintain in groups.
Yeah.
It's a miracle we're all here, right?
Yeah,
In a
totally.
room.
Yeah. I'm just amazed that Robert hasn't killed us yet.
Luckily,
Yes,
we
yes.
didn't have any authors that waited until the last possible minute of their time period to turn in their bit. So you didn't have to contact any of them. I thought I was just talking about me, but okay.
Everybody did a fantastic job. Everybody really put their best foot forward in this project, and I'm so proud of everybody and what they created.
For me, it was kind of something.
Alright.
Yeah.
How did he convince you all to do this book? Like, what did he say that was like?
He kidnapped
"Oh,
a
that's
child."
why."
Honestly, he said he was going to take us out to dinner at a nice Italian restaurant on Friday night after the panel. So, Robert, I just want to say thank you because I'm really hungry.
Actually, he just posted on Facebook and said, hey, I got this project idea, anybody interested? And I'm like, sign me up.
And 13 insane people said, yes, please.
Basically, Rob is just awesome, and we love Rob, and he's just a great guy to work for, and I jumped on that.
Robert made this an amazing project to work on.
I've been in some other anthologies myself, and this was the smoothest one.
That's-
There's no
and-
drama, nothing.
Yeah, and one of the things I'll say, because I mean, part of the reason I jumped on was because Robert was the one that put this across. Last year at Authorcon, we were like at tables right across from each other. I'd never met him before. He was talking about his collection of poetry that like, I think was the first poem in that, has somebody having sex on the train tracks. And I was like, fuck yeah, let's read that shit. And some gay ass werewolf stuff. Like, it was fucking great. So, but like talking to him and getting a feel for him in that, but then also having read his stuff. Like, I've told people repeatedly, keep an eye on his fucking name. He is somebody, unless he decides he gets bored with this or whatever, other things may occur. He's got the fucking skill, and he's got a vision that's just the right amount ahead of the rest of us, that there's gonna be some shit coming from that dude. So y'all lucky. Right now you're getting to see him, well, ain't nobody knows who the fuck he is. You're gonna be able to say this shit later on. And I got to say, I worked with him.
I will say, I sign up to a bunch of these projects where someone posts a tweet or something on Facebook or Instagram, and they're like, I want to do this kind of thing. And I always say, yes, 100% I want to do it, I want to be in. I think this is the first one,
That actually.
This is the first one that got done, just with a bunch of us on the internet that are, and I don't think it would have been possible if it weren't for Robert, because I should have taken, because I had been familiar with your work from the Sinister Scoop, setting you up with that account and everything. I should have known that this was the one that was going to get done, but I was so excited every step of the way that you were actually corralling people and getting us all together, because a lot of people have ideas like this, and it takes so much effort and determination to actually get it done on a timeline.
Rob's organization skills are just on point. Like, for someone who's relatively new to the scene, like, he just has everything organized, has a deadline in place, knows exactly where we want to be, when we want to be there, pretty good about, working our individual issues into it, like saying, hey, okay, I can't get it done by here, I can do it then, just really good person to work for, generally just really knowledgeable and smart and just coordinated. I mean, I think we've all kissed his ass, a lot right here, but it's true. I mean, he's just like,
if ever there was an ass
worthy good person. I mean, he just is. Like, I only met him a couple years ago, and he's just like the nicest person ever. And I was just like, I'll jump on the opportunity to work for you.
And I think that brings me to an important part of the project, which was the only people I really knew going into the project was Matt and Janice, and to a lesser extent Nathan, because we had met through various conventions, but everybody else here I had met maybe once at the time that I asked them to participate in the event. And so it was really about working with people that I didn't know I had to put my trust in to get a project created. And it was really scary at first. It was like I didn't know if it was going to pan out. And we hit about the halfway mark. I was like, wow, we've really come up with something here. There's something going that is going to keep going. And we have a book to show for it now, right? Matt did the incredible cover. And
if any of y'all are needing cover art, cover formatting, Matt has done cover formatting for me with 2 books, but the most recent one did the art and everything for it. And that's the one everybody fucking points to and says that shit looks fire. People that don't give a shit about Silent Hill still buy that book as the cover art. So my dude can do some shit.
Thank you.
He is worth the money, and also he's great to work with. He's so cute.
He's so cute and nice.
Don't you want Pinch's cheeks though? Somebody come up and pinch his. No, don't do that unless he says it's okay.
Honestly, in my opinion, I've been writing for
Congratulations to all of you. Nailed this. I just want you to understand that this was not easy, and you nailed it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Candace Noel, everybody. Get some of the dark shit while you're over the video.
Cleaned up our garbage fire. Honestly, in my opinion, I've been writing for over 10 years now, and I'm new to writing horror. I've been reading horror for a long time. So this, I wrote my first horror about 2 years ago, but this was my first splatter pump, go all in, you know, balls deep, you know, horror. And horror people, horror writers are the nicest people in the freaking planet. I mean, you know, they come off kind of crazy, like, you know, this one over here, but they are literally the nicest people on the planet. Like, you know, if you're gonna hang out with authors, you gotta pick the horror authors, because they're, I mean, just this charity in general. I mean, you can tell, you know, being here, if you guys have been repeat customers or repeat vendors, repeat guests or whatever. Horror authors are just pussycats. They really are. And I think it's because we can get all of our aggression out on the page, and so we don't have to show it in real life. So I just, you know, I love working with horror authors. I just do it again in a heartbeat.
Does anybody else have any questions?
I have a question.
Yeah.
Because again, I made the biggest mistake of all and said, here, I want to finish up this damn book. It's the stupidest thing I've ever done in writing. But I just want to ask you, what was the most fun thing that you've had to actually in this whole project? Because I know my most fun thing is actually to bring this thing back, and I got to, you know, put Brian Keane and Joe Ripple in this book. So that was my fun thing, but it is just the hardest thing ever to tie everybody's stories together, which, and it's so much fun to read everybody's thing, but what was the most fun thing or the most challenging thing for anybody here who wants to answer?
I'm going to answer the opposite question. You saved me, because I had also requested the last chapter. Yeah. So you saved me from making the hardest.
You can just give me a number later.
Yeah.
It was the stupidest decision ever. It's just,
even doing the penultimate chapter, I was like, I'm glad that I don't have the job of being the end of this. Because that sounds hard. But
so contextually, the chapter that I just read from is kind of like a very intentional left turn, and from like what came before it. We're setting in order of how we wrote it, I'm pretty sure. And like as the chapters were coming in, like I was just like, I really want to like fuck with the people that have to write after me. And so so when it got to me, Robert gave me a few notes, and I was like, okay, I can work with this. And then just kind of wreaked havoc on the narrative, which was a blast. It was a really good time.
That's the most fun thing I had, being the second author to be included to write the second chapter. I found it really interesting because Matt did a prologue chapter, so it didn't introduce any of the main characters, it introduced the concept itself. So I got to introduce the main characters, which was challenging in its own right, because I had to create characters that people could build off of that were complex in my chapter, but could be more complex later on. But seeing the way that every other person that followed me built off my characters was just so exciting to see, in every aspect of like, wow, I didn't think this character could go this route, but somehow they made it happen.
Part of what was complicated for me, because I came up with the idea of Zombacon. Well, it was voted on. We all came up with different ideas and they voted on it. So I came up with the idea for Zombacon a while back, and I could not for the life of me write the damn thing. Like, I had this idea and I was like, I don't know how to freaking start this book. And when they decided to go with the concept, Rob was like, well, since they voted on yours, do you want to go with the first chapter? I was like, absolutely not. Because I have no idea how to start it, and that's been the whole reason why I never started writing it in the first place. So I'm glad he started with Matt, because Matt set it up perfectly. And then to be able to like have it be fleshed out a little bit by the time it got to my chapter, which is chapter 4, I was like, okay, now I know where we're going here. Now I can really sink my teeth into it, sink my tusks into it, so to say. And that was really fun to be able to do that. And also, not without giving too much away, I was able to come up with a concept that I thought fit where we were headed, what direction we were headed, and add the character that I had in mind. I thought it went really well, and it gave me something to go off of, because I was just absolutely terrible at starting that story. So,
I remember there being like a snafu where because you wrote a complete chapter, and I remember you sent it to Rob, and you were like, I think I screwed this whole thing up. And Rob's like, will you read this? And I'm like, yeah, sure, I don't care. And I read through the whole thing, and I'm like, it's fine. If you just like change 2 words, it'll match everything. From the previous chapter, like you're doing perfectly fine.
Yeah.
When I was asked to be part of it, I was actually intimidated because like, how do you write 1 chapter? So I luckily got a good chapter because I had, yeah, I had an opportunity to take 2 completely different characters. One was Bertha, and the other one was Jimmy. So Bertha was this conservative, older Caucasian. Jimmy was a young, gay black boy. And I was like, oh shoot, I can work on this. And I actually make these 2 people from 2 different walks of life have to depend on each other and work together. And then make it funny as well, and make it gross. So I got the perfect position for me at least. So I had a lot of fun with it. But I was intimidated because I had never done anything like this before.
And I agree with you. I'd never done anything like this
Yeah.
before either. Robert actually approached me at Authorcon last year. He's like, hey, you want to do this anthology novella, Exquisite Corpse? I was like, this could either be a disaster.
Yeah.
Or like the coolest thing ever. And it ended up being the coolest thing ever. And my chapter was Bertha's. When we're in, what do you call it, Discord? We're coming up with character names and like what they look like, how old they are. And we came up with Bertha McFadden, who was just like he said, an older conservative white widow who's just alone in her apartment watching Fox News. And I like writing shitty characters. I can't write nice people. So I had so much fun writing her. And then I thought Jimmy was going to be kind of a throwaway, even though I like Jimmy, I thought he was going to be a throwaway character. And Roland developed him more, and I was like, wow, this is cool. He ends up being a significant character. So that's what I liked about that, to see what people do with your chapter afterwards. So being early on was fun for me.
I think I actually learned a lot. Like I think that's probably one of that single chapter is probably some of the best character development I've done before, because a lot of my stories are really short, so there's not a lot of time for a lot of major character development. But even in that one little chapter, I got to work on these 2 characters, and I taught myself that, hey, I'm good at making characters come to life, and so I had a lot of fun with it. I learned a lot about myself in that one little chapter.
Also, one of my favorite moments of this project was we got notes right before we started our chapter and a reminder of the deadline for how long we had. And Robert sent me this message that was like, please leave characters left for the final chapter.
Yeah, I'm so glad you left 2. 2 of them. Because yeah, good.
Yeah.
I was really excited when we came up with the characters. Like, cool, I can have this fun and this fun. And like, by the time I got it, it's like, shit, they're all dead. Like, bastards.
That's, I think, one of the things I always personally, as long as you're willing to leave your ego at the door, I really enjoy working with other writers. Me personally, I know writing is generally a very solitary thing, but nothing kickstarts my ass more than being across from somebody else that is a shit ton better than me and just laid out some fucking fire. And then now I have to find a way to at least match that energy. Like nothing gets me going like that. And so having this much before I got to step in, all this story going on, all these characters built up, and the opportunity to turn somebody that was already like a bit of an asshole into just a horrendous asshole, like it made me so incredibly happy. But also, again, like it matters who you work with. Luckily, like, you know, Robert put together a good team. We have great people on here, and I had a lot of really fun stuff to play with. But that was so much fun. Like when I was reading through it, and every bit of like, ooh, granted I had the same kind of thing. Like I was in the 2nd chapter, ooh, maybe I could do this. Hit the 4th chapter, like, nope, that's not happening now. And just kind of go through. But it was really like, it made the reading of it so much, so rich, and then being able to be a part of that and like throw in more. Like it reminds me of like sitting there at a campfire with some friends and just tossing around like bullshit stories about people or whatever. It was so great. So much fucking
It's like the
fun.
world's most complicated game of Mad Libs.
Yeah. That's a good description.
I think you had a question back there. Did somebody have?
Oh yeah. So what level of collaboration was there between the chapters? Were you given your chapter and you could just other than killing everyone? Are you allowed to just go crazy?
Yeah, so, so basically, for the first chapter, I basically told Matt a premise, and I let him go anywhere with it. And for the first few chapters, that's how it went, and it was like, as long as you're not, writing away the canon of the last few chapters, you can do basically anything. Then once we got to like, basically Rowland, like, Dorian, when we started at that point, I started giving like simple notes, and I started being like, I want like this character to be at this position by the end of the chapter, or I want this character to live to the next chapter.
What?
And
I didn't get any of those.
What I got was specifically, please don't add any more new characters.
that was added very early on. That was like very concrete. Do not add any more characters, please. We have enough.
Robert pretty much gave me one note and said, "This character would ideally die at the end of this chapter. Can you do that?"
The notes I got was like,
Make that
okay, we have enough like gory death scenes here. We need to have some substance in his.
Yeah, so it was very basic notes. And then they would come back to me with that chapter, and I'd be like, hey, can you change these small things? And they'd be like, okay. It honestly wasn't too horribly big changes for really any of the chapters. It was like, how this chapter ends in a way that's a little less concrete. Can we open that up a bit?
Yeah, and then by the time we got to the end, he just gave us a bunch of middle fingers and said, here, suck it up.
It was the one request. It was like, here are the characters that are still alive. Don't kill all of them. Let there be an end.
Actually, when I worked those first 3 or 4 chapters, I was like, oh, please don't let Bertha die. Please don't let Bertha die. I want to write Bertha, and then I like yeah. She died. Maybe she died somewhere down there. I don't know. Almost happened.
I was like really excited with mine too.
I just wanted to stay. I'm sorry. Where everybody's butting in. I'm sorry.
I was a little nervous at first because I was like almost kind of the halfway point. And it was funny because you had reached out in the beginning and you were like, oh, where does everybody want to write? And I was like, oh, I don't care. Like, just give me what, like, I'm so flexible. And I'm so glad I didn't get the end.
Yeah. That was my own.
But then I was like, oh, I'm like smack dab in the middle. This is not easy either because now you have to follow up everything that came before. And Rowland's chapter was like, it was so good. Like all the character development was like happening. Everything was like coming to a head in that chapter. And I was like, how am I going to follow up with this chapter? But then I went back through because, like we were saying, we had a list of characters ahead of time that we like kind of all agreed on. And one of the ideas I had thrown out was about like this farmhand that was there when everything happened, that saw everything happen and is like feeling guilt. And I was like, oh cool, he hasn't been brought up yet. So I was like, this is perfect because I can just like kind of clean slate it and everything. And it was nice. So I was like, it's so hard doing it from the middle.
Does anybody else have any questions?
Yeah, I think they do.
I have a question for everyone. What was the hardest part of the project for you?
Meeting the deadline.
Coming up with something interesting that people are going to want to read. Like, you know, you get lost in the characters that you want to write, but you also have to remember, like, oh, is this going to make any sense? And is anyone going to want to pick up with your characters, or just going to kill them off immediately? Like, you know, so it's, you know, it was fun. It wasn't really much of a lot of stress. It was just more kind of just feeling things out because it was a new experience for me. So writing the chapter wasn't too hard, but I did rewrite that a lot. I did a lot of rewrites on it just to get fun too. So that was the hardest part. I feel like I had the easiest.
It was a great chapter though.
Well, thank you. I
It
appreciate
sets
that.
the hook.
Like when this started, you originally did approach to me to do the end. You were like, you would probably be good for that. And I was like, well, one problem. My son just got, like, he was just born. And I'm like, for me to actually read through an entire book and write you a good, sustainable ending is not going to happen. So
it's your fault.
Yeah, it's my fault. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
Blame Matt.
Okay. So
everybody blame Matt. Whatever's wrong with your life, his fault.
It's I get it all the time. So then you said about the beginning, and immediately in my head, with the premise you gave me, I was like, I want to write
It's almost like a start, the beginning of like Resident Evil 2, where there's like this truck driver who's jumping into town, crashes his truck, and I'm like, how about he crashes a truck full of something he doesn't know what he's actually hauling, because they didn't tell him, and it's just radioactive waste, crashes into a pig farm. And then those pigs that just got irradiated just happen to go to the nearby town for a luau at a fancy restaurant, and it starts mutating people into these pig monsters. And I loved, right, especially the restaurant scene, because I had came out of 25 years of chefdom, and I have a sore spot for that industry. So just being able to write from like a behind the scenes, and then it's just like everybody starts going like pig monster, everybody starts dying, it's all going to shit. I'm like, I actually would want to be a fly on the wall.
and folks, that's the first fucking chapter of the book, okay? Like, yeah, that's, we talk about hard things to follow. Like, I was at the point like where like, because I'm not ending it, instead, I have to somehow ratchet up the tension after all these motherfuckers were before me. Yeah, that was perfectly fine. No stress at all.
Sorry, it's my fault anyway, so it's fine.
Yeah, you set it up, and it's all, Matt, yeah.
Yeah.
I had kind of a tough time deciding what to do with my chapter because I had joined the project not knowing what it was going to be, and we were having initial discussions where we were kind of deciding what it was going to be. I was just getting into Splatterpunk at that time. I had gotten to write my first body horror piece. I was really looking forward to it, and then, but I had requested a spot near the end, so I got to watch 11 people like set the bar high, keep ratcheting up tension and gore, and like do these amazing character developments and stuff. And it's like I was getting so excited as I was reading, and it's like I can't wait for the challenge of ramping this up. And then I followed your chapter, and I was so intimidated. And then I realized that I had to start like it's not really my job to ratchet it up, penultimate chapter. It's my job to tee it up
You did a very great job of setting up for a finale, though.
Yeah, I wanted there to be like a big conclusion, and there needed to be enough room to do that. So it was hard, because again, checking the ego, it was really hard to be like, I don't need to have the goriest chapter or the saddest chapter. I need to just set a tone.
And that's one of the things I will recommend. Like, if any of you like look at doing projects like this where you're working with multiple people, everybody on here had a good sense of the structure of a story. So their places in there were in the right spot. They were building up characters where characters needed to be built up. We were at the point where like, okay, you don't need to build up any more characters, like you need to start like moving the story forward, and people were like, all those bits fell in the right places because you were dealing with people that know what they're doing in there. As much as an English teacher, I always hated teaching that little fucking pyramid bullshit thing. At the same time, there was a moment I was like, oh, but at least this helps me know kind of what I need to do right now, and I'm not so scared. So it does really help having people that know the craft as well as everybody that I was working with on this.
And I will say one final comment, and then we're going to move on. Steve actually came into the project late, and thankfully decided to join us because I had someone drop out. So we were what, like 5 chapters in by the time?
At least 4, yeah.
So he, I think, had the hardest time because he wasn't even there for the conceptualization.
Yeah, I had to just read old notes.
Well, I was sending a text message, and he's like, we need somebody to fill this in. I was like, I got a friend I can talk with.
And I said yes. But I think for me, I think the hardest thing being this far into the story was I felt a lot of pressure around dialogue, because the point of this project is everybody's got their own voice, but it's a cohesive story. But for character dialogue, I thought it would be jarring if the way you write and the way someone talks and I do it is completely different. It has to be cohesive. And other than that, I felt like I was in a sweet spot because I didn't have to create characters and I didn't have to close it out. I just had to play with it.
Have we all, if anybody else doesn't have any questions, we all gonna move on to, Donna's gonna do a quick reading.
Don't forget the timing, because I suck at time management, so.
Okay.
Okay. Chapter 8, the beginning. Pigpen spit his tobacco on the ground as he watched the silver sedan pull into the driveway in front of his house. No one ever came up to his house. Well, except for the farm hands, that is. They must be lost, he thought, as he watched two men in gray suits exit the vehicle. They both had sunglasses on, and the one who got out of the passenger side carried a black briefcase. Y'all lost? Pigpen shouted at the men. Are you the owner of this pig farm, sir? Briefcase man asked. Sure am. What's it for you? We have a business proposal for you. One I think you'll be very interested in. Oh, I will, huh? Grabbing a hold of the straps of his overalls, Pigpen glared at the men. Absolutely, may we come in? They didn't wait for an invitation. Walking up the stairs onto the porch, they entered the house and waited for Pigpen to follow them. I suppose since you're already in, I could listen to what you have to say. Let's go sit in the kitchen. The three of them entered the small kitchen and sat down at the yellow warped table. The briefcase man opened the case and pulled out a small portable DVD player. He inserted a disc and pushed play. Turning it so Pigpen could see the screen, he let the video play. Specimen 12344-99, given super growth 3 times a day, age 4 months, weight 285 pounds. As you can see from the before picture on the screen, the subject at 3 months was just 100 pounds. In 30 days, she has gained 185 pounds and is now ready for slaughter. Note the markings on the sow's back, snout, and right front leg that indicate this is the same animal as in the picture. The video played for a few more minutes, showing a grotesquely fat pig waddle around an enclosed pen. Its movements were slow and labored as the super fast weight gain on her small body hindered movement. You see, you never did tell us your name, briefcase man said. Just call me Pigpen. Everyone else does. What are your names? Our names don't matter, Pigpen, the quiet one said with a hint of hostility. Right. Okay, Mr. Pigpen. Super grow can accelerate the growth of your hogs in record time. Faster growth, faster to slaughter, faster to get money for the meat, the briefcase man stated. And how would this benefit meat? Pigpen asked, chewing on the wad of tobacco in his mouth. Bolius Labs would like to supply you with Super Grow free of charge. We need to have a client that can show true results, not just results in a lab, so that we can market this to other farms. It has already passed FDA approval and is ready to be distributed. But we think that no one will be willing to buy from us unless they can see that it truly does work. You'll get free feed for your livestock, which will increase their size faster, allowing you to send more to slaughter, and that all equals more money, Quiet Man said. Free, you say? Well, shit, I'll take anything for free. Sign me up. Excellent, briefcase man pulled out a manila envelope and removed the papers inside. If you could just sign on page 3, we can have your first shipment out here tomorrow. Ooh, wait, this is gonna make me loads of money. Pigpen squealed in glee as he signed the papers. He didn't bother reading it. Well, if truth be told, he could barely read anyway. Slamming the pen down onto the table, Pigpen smiled at the 2 suits. So what time should I expect the delivery? He grinned. Gabe Shiflett didn't understand why there was another delivery of pig feed. They had just gotten a few tons delivered last week, which would last him a month. But if he wanted to keep his job, he unloaded the truck and stacked the sacks of feed like he was told. When it was time to feed the hogs, Pigpen had told him to use the new feed first, which didn't make any sense. They should be using the older stuff first. Shrugging, he loaded up the troughs and called the pigs to their breakfast. He always liked to watch the pigs eat. They were hilarious as they fought for spots at the trough. Those cute big faces buried snout deep in the feed never failed to make him smile. Some would say he was too fond of the pigs to be working at a pig farm when he knew they would be slaughtered. But it was just the way of life, and well, Gabe sure did love bacon. Hey, Pigpen, what's this new feed? He asked as Pigpen came over to make sure the pigs were eating up the new feed. This new feed is gonna make me a lot of money. It's guaranteed to make these pigs get bigger faster so I can send them to slaughter sooner. Get big faster? How? Don't know. Some fellows from a fancy laboratory came to see me yesterday and offered this new feed to me for free. I guess they want to use me for advertising or something, Pigpen shrugged. Don't matter to me none. Free feed saves me money. Even if they don't get bigger faster, I still come out a winner. Don't you think this could taint the meat, make it not suitable for market? There was already that issue with the tanker truck that crashed near here the other day. Remember how the water turned all green and we didn't realize it until the whole herd had been drinking it for a few days? I'm sure that wasn't good for them either. Did the company that owned the truck ever tell you what it was? Nah, they wouldn't return my calls. But the pigs seemed just fine. Ain't nothing to be worried about. Probably just some of them fancy sports energy millennial drinks, Pigpen said. After they're done with this feed, let's get them weighed. I want to keep a close watch on their progress. They'll be weighed once a week, understood? Sure thing, Pigpen, sure thing. Dave said he had a bad feeling about this new feed. Careful records were made of the pig's weights. Sure enough, in 1 week, all the hogs in the group given the Supergirl feed had already gained 50 pounds. As the rotund creatures hobbled around the pen, Pigpen saw nothing but dollar signs on hooves. He was happier than a pig in shit. Gabe, being skeptical of this miracle feed, watched the hogs closely. After 3 weeks, he noticed some of them developed yellow sores on their skin. Their noses continuously leaked brown mucus and their eyes were bloodshot. Their aggression increased as well. Two sows started fighting at the trough one day, Lila and Betsy. When Betsy didn't get out of Lila's way fast enough, Lila attacked, goring Betsy with her tusks. As Betsy lay bleeding out in the muck, Lila began chomping down on her. The sounds of Lila eating brought the rest of the drove over, and they all devoured Betsy in a matter of minutes. As the corpulent beast finished, there was nothing left of the 200-pound Betsy but blood-covered bones. When he brought this up to Pigpen, he was told to be quiet about it. Pigpen promised him a huge bonus once the pigs had been sent to slaughter, and he received his payment. He knew Gabe could use the money. His old pickup one was on its last legs. With the bonus, he could buy himself a brand new truck and help out his ailing mama with her mortgage. This was too tempting to Gabe, and he agreed. 2 weeks later, the pigs were ready to be sent to slaughter. Gabe, Pigpen, and another farmhand began to load the hogs into the trailer so they could be driven to the slaughterhouse. A total of 25 hogs were set to go. They would be slaughtered and their meat sent to grocery stores all across the country. Gabe and Pigpen used the pig boards to herd the drove onto the ramp into the trailer. They were being stubborn and began biting at each other. Pigpen reached in and used the electric prod to get them moving. He leaned a little too far into the chute and one of the pigs bit his arm, tearing into the flesh. "Goddamn motherfucking pig," Pigpen yelled as he beat on the sow that had bitten him. "Look at my fucking arm." Swinging his arm out of the chute, blood splattered onto Gabe's shirt. "Stu, help Gabe get these hogs in the trailer." "All right."
That's your time.
Stop! Make it stop!
Can we do Dave, if you want to get ready for the last 10 minutes?
Okay. Well, has anybody here played Apples to Apples? No?
Yeah, I have.
Really?
How about Cards Against Humanity?
Well, we're not getting that ugly.
Well, but I'm saying, it's like the general principle
Yeah.
is the same.
Well, here's the thing. Basically, what I'm going to do is it's a horror version of the stuff. So I'm going to pass out for anybody who wants to do it here and do the questions, and you guys can choose the best answers. So whoever chooses the best one, you can stop by my table for everybody. So, and you don't have to play. You want it? Okay. There you go. I'll just do your handful. I'm not counting because I can't count. And there you go. And nobody cares if I count. So.
Word people are very good at math. What are you talking about?
I apologize, but I do have to go to another panel, so I'm gonna back out of
Okay. All right. So.
I'm pretty certain.
Okay. All right. So here are subject cards to come out, and we'll see this. By the way, this is actually sponsored by Alice Cooper, so
Yeah, I saw that.
yeah, kind of cool. I got this a couple of years ago for Christmas. I haven't used it, so hey, I'm making somebody happy by doing this. So,
Okay, like Alice Cooper, there's Alice Cooper at my table.
what?
Is he happy?
All right.
There's a book in my table.
So again, you get to choose the correct answers for the stuff. So the first one is this enchanted object that gets its power from. Everybody choose one. Okay. So it gets its power from what?
Did we just say our answers out loud?
Oh yeah, and everybody ready?
I got one.
Okay, good. So you can just read them off and we'll take the answers from there.
Anyone who's stuck with it. The guy who says bro too much.
Playing the Deliverance theme over and over again.
Trying to go half on a lobster dinner.
Biting my girlfriend's toenails.
Jeffrey Epstein.
Ooh, you might have won.
A Furby.
Furby, oh, those are creepy. Mike Tyson's right hook.
A cabin full of Amish people.
From Candyman doing an ad for Honey Nut Cheerios.
a zombie with some troubling issues or some troubling views on immigration.
Playing the victim.
Sure you do. All right, so what do you think? Anybody want to chime in? And what do you think the best thing?
Deliverance theme.
Yeah. Well, does anybody see a difference between Deliverance and Jeffrey Epstein?
Ned Beatty was over 18. That's the difference.
All right, yeah, you make a fine point. All right. We'll go with Deliverance for that one. All right, so next one is pretty easy. Let's see. Okay, you know what? Let's go a little shiny. Wendy, I am blank. If you ever know that, that's from The Shining. If you don't know that, you should be smacked.
Start finally making a good Stephen King movie.
Okay, I'm not going to go any further.
That's perfect.
A horror movie child singing on keyboards.
Having a dead person talk my ear off about their murder.
A water
For me, it's the way you said it.
A water
Helping Nicolas Cage find his true calling.
Wendy, I am having a good reason for all those murders.
Vaping with Dracula.
I'm the overconfident girl.
Maybe I'm some fucker trying to ruin Christmas.
Wendy, I'm the person who thinks going outside was a good idea.
Wendy, I'm a pot pie that screams for its life when you cook it.
All right, that's a little different. Okay, we can see how much medication you're on by whoever answers that one. So, any thoughts?
Number one thinks that.
Yeah, I think that's a given.
I have a perfect card.
Okay. All right, I saved this one for a while. Death by way of Roland. I know you're upset you used water better already. You can't use water better already. So death by way of what?
My rent.
Oh!
My crush with the red receipts on.
A desire for divorce, but being too poor for it to make sense.
1,000 Years of Solitude.
Jordan Peele's Undeveloped Cats sequel.
Reliving childhood trauma.
Being handcuffed to my bed consensually.
Underage drinking.
A literal pile of ghost poop.
The house across the street from the last house on the left.
Sprinting in 6-inch heels.
That'll do it.
Yeah. Thoughts?
Question for the panel. What color do you think ghost poop is?
Green.
Wow, that was really quick. All right.
So clearly, we have one expert on the panel about ghost.
I didn't realize I had a Ghostbuster in here.
So next year, panel suggestion.
This will give you a glitter and sparkle.
Discussion of ghost poop.
Yeah, I go for ghost poop. All right, we have time for a couple more. So let's see here. Definitely we're in a horror convention. So the worst thing you can do in a horror movie always involves. It's a good time for to change that part.
Yeah.
So, can you read that again?
The worst thing you can do in a horror movie always involves.
Okay. Entering places that clearly have visible "Do Not Enter" signs.
Let me figure that out.
I think piece about it follows.
I love like the slow following it on that. Like start at the start of the realization of holy shit, there have been so many fucking
Think
pieces
pieces
on
I
that.
read about it follows.
And all of them just sound like they did all the drugs.
Audiobook of the Necronomicon.
Putting a corpse in a smart car.
Splitting from the group because it's safer if we're all alone.
See, he took it literally.
I didn't take it literally. Twisting an ankle running in the woods.
That is kind of literally.
I took a big
Asking too many questions about the girls in my freezer.
A magical adventure through the land of entrails.
Flat-footed footsteps.
The scariest killer of all time. Diabetes.
My stepdad, who insists I call him Dad instead of Frank.
You know, I'm also a therapist, doesn't mean anything to
I believe that is the come to daddy.
Yeah, I don't know if that's a horror movie thing, but some other movie.
That is a very specific horror movie, yes.
Yeah, specific. Alright, and we have time for one more, because again, we need to close on something good. Killer's catchphrase. What is the best killer's catchphrase we have left? Killer's catchphrase? Killer's catchphrase.
I guess my killer's catchphrase is, my dad, but he actually hugs me this time.
I hope you're not being literal.
Bill and Ted Bundy's Uncomfortable Adventure.
Eating human remains as a family.
That's a good catchphrase. Yeah, I like that.
Calling the final girl a third-rate feminist.
A CD of Frankenstein's greatest groans.
A crying baby in an abandoned church.
Again, the way you said it.
Crescendoing over dramatic music.
A lawnmower being started manually.
An old man just looking to make friends.
The last person to arrive. That's my killer's catchphrase is the last person to arrive.
Mine is return to the suburbs, the caroning.
Okay. Is there any question about this one? I think.
I think
that. Okay, first of all, I just want to say, I've been, writing, not professionally, because I'm a teacher, so I can't do anything professionally. This is my 20th anniversary of writing, and I gotta say, this is by far the most fun I've ever had doing something. So I just wanted to thank everybody here for this, and I'm just proud to be part of it. So thank you guys.
Thank you everybody for being included.
Please do give yourself some applause. But also, that fucker finished up the nonsense the rest of us wrote. That's some shit to have to deal with.
Yeah, you should talk to my psychiatrist about that issue. Yeah, but again, stop by on my table, 37 or something like that, or somebody else's table. But seriously, come on and who is the winner? Who do you think had the best answer?
I think yours is one of the best.
To me. Yeah, do that or her carrying, I don't know.
You definitely should clap it up for Robert one more time.
Yeah.
Shut the fuck up, okay? Shut the fuck up.
You rock. And again, Robert's taking all of us to an Italian dinner tonight, so we said something about anything we wanted, so
Unlimited.
yeah, unlimited.
Okay.
Yeah, so yeah. So I think we're gonna have like,